Hope here again, Bar Hoops. About to go live. Well, I am live. Talk a little bit about basketball. We got a lot of playoffs, got conference tournaments going on. Just a lot of good basketball right now. So, gonna talk a little bit about it and try to get to Coach Bridges from Country Day is going to be on here. We'll talk a little bit about Country Day and as well as talking about our talking about the his AU team as well. But we'll make sure we get as much info from him as we can. But let's talk about the fantasy bracket. As I put it on Twitter, I didn't put it on Instagram, and so my apologies to everybody I didn't talk about it on Instagram. But we looked at we used the polls, and I used coaches. I didn't vote myself. I decided not to vote for these last two rounds. Um, so in the coaches vote, for Cannon, I think four coaches voted for Cannon to move on against West Rand, and the social media polls actually had Cannon against beating West Rand. So Cannon would move on to the championship, and then there was Catholic and Lake Norman, where Lake Norman won the social media polls, but all of the coaches that were picked said that they had Charlotte Catholic beating Lake Norman. So that was four different coaches said Catholic beating Lake Norman. We'll probably see that game sometime in the playoffs. Who knows when? But I'm sure round three will be just as good. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I got everything ready. But so we look at the private school playoffs so far. Looking at championship games in the 1A division, Northside Christian is back. They've been doing their thing. I mean, they won by like 60 points yesterday, and they've dominated. I really feel like, and shout out to Coach Ryan, and this is nothing against his team. I feel like they had the more favorable side of the bracket. And I said this from the beginning: the teams that they would play wouldn't match up to the other teams on the other side because on the other side you had Crescent, who's in the championship against them, United Faith, and Victory Christian. All three of them, to me, were the top four teams in 1A. And realistically, that was the truth. I mean, Crescent is a young team, but they're really good. And Northside beat Crescent already. So I really think Northside could win the state championship. Uh, I think that's five in a row if he wins this one. Coach Ryan would definitely salute. I think he likes when I pick against him. I think that fuels his team, and I don't mind that. It's all love at the end of the day. I love the girls in the team. They do a really good job. I've supported them and watching them play different games, and just hoping that they continue to get better throughout the years. They'll probably join the conference with Victory Christian and United Faith next year. So that'll be really good for them. They'll get to play those 1A games that they sometimes miss out on because they were in a different conference. In 2A, I figured it would be Wayne Country Day and O'Neill School. Those are two teams we in our area we don't really know much about them, but I kind of have seen them. O'Neill School, we saw them in the summer when they had the NCISA summer league. Then in 3A, Grace Christian is in it against High Point Christian. That should be that should be an okay game. I don't think any team comes within 20 of Grace Christian in that game because they're depth and nobody's guarding Sarah. I mean, Kylie Torrance is really good. Don't get me wrong, but Sarah's a different beast. And then Isis is really good. And those girls been playing together for years, and they played together over AAU. And then to come back in school to play with each other again, their chemistry is unmatched. I'm really wanting to know if they get a Dick's Invitational invite or some type of national invite to where they can keep playing. I want to see how they look on the national scene. They're undefeated. They've beaten every team that's came in front of them. They beat Camden. They went to DC. I think they went 1-0. I don't know if they went 1 or 2-0. They went to John Wall. Went undefeated. they're just a really good team. Us at Cannon, we played them. We went up there and played them, and they got in us. I mean, we fought, but they got in us. They beat Bishop McGuinness. So realistically, this is a team that is just not cruising, because I don't want to say it's that easy for them, because they're actually playing hard. But they're really good, and I think they're going to get their third straight state championship. They went from 1A to 3A, and I think they win it again, honestly. 4A Canada PD will be a dogfight. PD held a team to 15 points, which is amazing. Shout out to Coach Springer. He does a great job game planning, and to hold a team baskets throughout the whole game, 0 points. Hats off to him, because realistically, that's unheard of, especially in a semifinal state championship game for the states. Raven Gaps are defending two-time state champions, and you look at that in itself, that's amazing. Shout out to all the players at PD. Cannon won their game against Wesleyan Christian. I think Cannon's ready for their next step. It's going to be a dogfight. Both teams have been there before. Cannon, I think 3 years ago, they won a state championship, and before that, I feel like PD won, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so they PD won the year before that. So these are two teams that are both prepared for each other. Two conference opponents already played each other twice. Last game went into overtime with big performances from Meyer McCorkle and Jada McClure. So you look at this time, it's going to be a talented matchup wherever it's at. It's at North Raleigh Christian at 7 o'clock. No matter who's there, I think if those two teams played in a scrimmage game with nobody in the crowd, it'll still be an intense game, just because of the respect for both teams and both programs. Coach should be joining us soon. I'm trying to think of what else I had. Conference tournaments. If you're looking at the conference tournaments, it's a couple games on right now. Lake Norman is playing in South Iredale. I want to say South Meck and RGK should be finished by now. I don't know exactly who won that game. Last time I checked, South Meck was up big, and then RGK came back. So RGK might just have their number this year, and that would have been a big win for South Meck. I think they still get in the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. It might still be the top three teams from each conference. I don't know how true that is. I don't really. I know they have all the new RPI rankings and everything like that, so it's a little different. But if I'm not mistaken, top three teams get in. That would be big. I can't. Watauga, they play against Alexander Central tonight. That should be a good game as well. Then you look at, I think Butler and Butler and Independence should be playing tonight, and Catholic should be playing against Providence. Those should be good games as well. And then Lake Norman, like I said, plays South Iredale. Hickory Ridge got a good win against Cox Mill after they had just lost to them last week on senior night. So I know they were coming back for revenge. That's kind of setting up that matchup in a neutral site. You're looking at Hickory Ridge versus Lake Norman. I think both games have been less than 5 points, so that'll be really good for both teams. I know J.M. Robinson and West Orlando play against each other. J.M. Robinson got a big win after they lost to Northwest Cabarrus by 20 points at Northwest Cabarrus. Came in the conference tournament, won a good game. Whoever it's tournament time. This state tournament is up next. I think the rankings come out Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. And it should be some good matchups. I think it's going to be some really good early matchups, if I'm not mistaken. Let me make sure Coach hasn't. But I'm trying to think of what other teams are playing right now. I think I've went through most of them. I think it's playoff time. They were having a discussion on, should conference tournaments be switched to city, like a city championship. I love the idea. I always love the idea of a city championship. I think it'll be good for the kids. But it may, like I saw Coach Christie said, some of those coaches don't want to play that talent, and that's not just public schools, private school as well. Um, we get a lot of we get a lot of teams that don't want to play each other just because they feel like, oh, I have to play them in the playoffs, or we don't want to take those early losses. And realistically, that doesn't help your team. You got to play talent to get better. I mean, I'm a big believer in that. I think whoever you play, you gotta sometimes you gotta play teams better than you to see where you at, to get your kids to know what level you're trying to get to. If you're fine with just beating up on sorry teams, kudos to you. I'm not knocking you, but I just want you to understand that when you look at talent and people getting recruited, they're playing against those better teams. It's not just going to be, oh, we beat up on this team by 20, 30 points, but that team ain't couldn't shoot the ball or get past half court. Not going to help your team at all. Um, I like it to a sense. I know they don't really think about the public teams and the things like that, but I mean the private school teams and things like that. But I think about that because I mean, of course, I coach at a private school. But I would love to see it to where it's not just Charlotte teams. I would love to see the best teams in the surrounding areas, like let Lake Norman be in it, like let Providence Day, Cannon, Charlotte Country Day, all those teams find a way for the top two or top three of the conference to all play against each other. It would be so dope. I know it's very hard to do. I would say after state tournament, but of course that's probably impossible. I know they do it kind of like that in California. They do the Open Championship to where they have the first state tournament and then they have the Open Championship where everybody plays. And that's just to me that's dope. I love the feeling that you can still play for something. So hopefully Coach Bridges joins soon. If not, we're just gonna go ahead and wrap it up. But let's see. God, I'm trying to think. Make sure you I think Coach is joining now. Let me go ahead and add him on. What's going on, Coach? Can you
Hey,
hear me?
what's up?
Oh, there it goes. All right. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good, man. Let me switch this real quick. Hold on,
All right.
right quick. My Bluetooth.
You good, you good, good. Got it?
Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right.
How's
What's
it
going on,
going?
man?
Man, not
I'm good,
much,
man.
trying to get ready. Got a lot
Yeah,
left. So trying to get ready
yeah.
for that. But other than that, I'm good, man. How have you been?
I'm good, man. I know y'all got a big one this Saturday.
Oh yeah, huge. Gotta get ready for that. Gotta get ready for sure.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
this is Coach Bridges, Charlotte Country Day, also with EA Prep. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and your coaching journey.
Man, my coaching journey is it's pretty long, man. I started back in 1999 with
Okay.
Victory Christian Center School. I actually went there and graduated there in the mid 90s, late 90s, 97.
Okay.
And so, like everybody else, I had dreams to go to the NBA. It didn't work out like that.
Mhm.
But so I said, let me go get into coaching. So I got into coaching. I don't know if you remember the coach back then, but Sean Thompson. He was like one of the legends back in the 90s, and he
Was
had
it the
won like
boys?
multiple states.
Was he a boys
Boys
coach?
side.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think I remember. I
yeah.
played. So we played against. I went to West Charlotte High School. We played against Victory Christian in the Dale Curry tournament, and
Okay, so that was with Glenn McCletty.
okay, nope,
Yeah.
McClady wasn't the coach yet. Because I know
Oh, he
McClady.
wasn't?
Me and Coach McClady's son Sydney actually played
Sydney.
AAU
Yeah.
basketball together. So I
Oh,
think
really?
I don't think McClady was there yet because I would remember that. I don't think he was the head
What
coach
year
yet.
was it?
And this was 2003, 2004.
He should have been there.
Okay, he might have been. Maybe
He should have
I'm
been
maybe mistaken. So he might have been there.
there. Yeah. But yeah, I started there in '99. I was the assistant boys coach. So I started on the
Okay.
boys side, and I had my plan. Laid out. I'm gonna stay there and move on up. So the coach at the time, Coach Thompson, he left, took another job somewhere else,
Okay.
and so that's when they brought in, I think, McClelly that year or the
Okay.
following year, and they made some changes. So I kind of helped out McClelly in different ways, kind of like scouting team, doing things.
Mhm.
But I went out and started coaching for rec leagues and an inner city team
Okay.
for Right Moves for Youth. And so I was doing the boys. I did that about 4 or 5 years. And I went back to coach at Victory as a JV assistant coach back in '04.
Okay.
And, I got to a point, man, I was like, all right, this is where I grew up. I've been here for 5, 6 years coaching. I need to go out and find my own self. So
Mhm.
I applied to Cannon, which Ron Johnson was the head coach over there then.
Mhm.
And I applied to Covenant Day, and Covenant Day called me the same day, offered me the assistant boys job, took the job. And I was at Covenant Day from 2005 to 2012.
Okay.
And I started out with boys from '05 to '07. And then from '07 to 2012, I got on the girls side. So I was the assistant on the girls in '07. And a lot of word was going around that they wanted me to be the JV girls head coach. I knew nothing about it, but people were telling me about it. I'm like, man,
Mhm.
I ain't coaching no JV girls. But took the opportunity, man, and enjoyed it. We had a good year, won the conference that year,
Okay.
and then the following year, I was varsity head coach for the girls. Took over there for 3 years, and then took a year off. Had a family, little children, so I took a year off. Coached church league for 1 year, went back into school ball. I went to go coach at Victory Christian for 2 years,
Mhm.
2013 to 2015. We had a good run that last year. We got to the state semifinals in the 1A.
Okay.
I forgot who we lost to. We lost to Trinity Christian, I believe.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's
and then, yeah, and then 2015, decided to step down for a little bit. Kids were getting older, son playing ball. I had to,
mhm.
that life balance, that work life balance. So
Right.
focus on that. But I was still doing some things on the side, doing a little bit of AAU with some friends. Charlotte Lady Warriors with Willie
Okay.
Brown. I went back doing EA Prep Stars. I did them for several years on the boys side, and then ended up at Country Day back in 21. I hit up Dre. Me and Dre go back to, man, JV days. He
Okay.
used to give me a hard time on some games, but hit him
Yeah.
up and went over there, and then rest is history where I'm at now.
Okay. So upon taking the country day job, I mean, you came the year that I left. So,
Right.
um, what were your goals as far as like after you took the head coaching job? What were some of the
Mhm.
goals that you had for the program?
Well, one goal is as long as I've been in Charlotte, Covenant. I mean, Covenant Day. Charlotte Country Day had a strong name just in athletic sports back in
Mhm.
the '80s and '90s. And what I wanted us to establish was a culture of just being competitive.
Mhm.
And that takes a lot of work. So I wanted us to be competitive. Not, we may not win every game, which is fine, but when you're
Right.
trying to build a culture, rebuild a culture, Dre did good work during his
Yeah.
time there. Definitely not taking nothing from him. He had to go through some barriers, get through some stuff. So he laid a
True.
good role for me. But and you were there, so
Yeah.
so
For sure.
so so the goal was the
Mhm.
talent was there. But I like to start from the bottom up. And so that's the second phase was let me get some of that talent that's in the sixth or seventh, eighth grade. Let me see where they are.
Okay.
Because what was going on was a lot of these kids, a lot of these schools opening up, kids are leaving, going to different schools when
Mhm.
they get to the ninth grade. I'm like, so let me get in here and make us competitive first.
Right.
And we might take but there's some games where I want teams to walk away thinking, man, that was a tough game.
Mhm.
That's our goal right now.
Agreed. And I think he did a really good job with that. I mean, like when my last year there was I think MH and Hudson's junior year, and we were solid.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew we could compete with anybody, of course, but
Right.
it was just hard because you don't have a lot of we didn't have a lot of kids coming up. We didn't have the
Yeah.
size or anything like that. But still, Country Day is Country Day. They were a little nicer, and that's one thing I like about your team. Now they're not really that nice. They're not really nice. They play hard as ever. They make it really hard to do anything
Mhm.
that you want to do. So I think you're doing a great job with that. So how do you manage the being a head of a high level high school team as well as being a travel ball director?
Man, I tell you what, a lot of prayer, a lot of patience, because I kind of manage it to where AAU, I don't focus on that until maybe early January, late December.
Mhm.
On the boys' side, I got good guys over there that kind of keep an eye on things, do
Yeah.
some stuff for me because they know I'm so involved in high school ball. So I kind of just high school ball is my focus at a certain period of time. And so now that our season's over, I'm 100% focused on AAU. So I'll be focused on AAU probably up until late May, getting the team camp in June. I cut off AAU, no practice, no workouts, no training, just strictly school ball. And then we get back into July, that last month of July for AAU.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'm focused on school ball going into August, September, October, which is open up the fall leagues and other training. So
Okay.
it's tough. Last year was tough because
Mhm.
I took on EA Lady Stars in January, right in the middle of
Yeah.
the season, and that was a challenge. Just trying to manage it both, getting phone calls, text messages, trying to get a
Mhm.
schedule created, in the midst of trying to win games, get prepared for high school games. So
Right.
it's tough, but like I said, you just gotta sit down and just set up your mental focus and say,
Okay.
all right, what's more important at the time? So right now it's AAU ball right now.
Okay. Okay. I like that. I like that. So what's some of the goals you have set for this season for the EA team?
EA, just trying to get a 17U, 16U, maybe a 15U, kind of the same model. On our boys side, man, we started out. I started with the boys in '08, '09, something like that. And
Okay.
we never got the best players. It was guys that were like the sixth man, seventh, eighth man. And we just came and just worked with them until we built. And then we started getting better players. But that's been our model. So I'm doing the same thing with our girls side.
Okay.
Last year, I had people call me. I'm like, hey, look, I'm not here to win. I'm here to develop. And I
Mm,
made it clear to some of the parents up front. Because, today, man, you got to be honest with these parents.
for
And
sure.
I was up front with them. Like, look, I'm here to develop your daughter. Your daughter was coming off the bench. Let her go through that year AAU, develop. But I'm a big person of reputation. And so the right work, the players will come, the name will build. So right now, we're just trying to get an extra two or three teams and then be more competitive what we were last year.
Okay. That sounds good. That sounds good. I think I know taking it over in January is definitely tough because I mean you're in
Yeah.
the middle of you're almost at playoffs and in the conference realistically, and you're trying to get ready for all that and then have to deal with
Yep.
taking over a whole program. That's always tough.
Yep.
So one of the things I wanted to talk about, I saw on the Observer's talk show they were talking about the city championship
Right.
instead of doing conference tournaments. What do you think about that? And how does it affect
You know,
private schools?
it's funny because that's been a discussion for I don't know how many years now. And I think part of Dale Curry was trying to bring that together because
Mhm.
between private school, public school. So I went to Victory and our mindset was, well, we can beat West,
Right.
beat this team. I'm sure you guys probably said the same thing,
Yep,
like,
for
okay,
sure.
Charlotte Christian over here, but we think we can beat them.
Hmm.
So I don't just talking girls basketball together a lot better because
Hmm.
yeah, we got our conference championships, you got your states, but I think there should be a citywide championship. And now how you formulate that, that's up to the powers that be. But I think it's something they really need to put in action and let them play, at Spectrum Arena or
Hmm.
somewhere big, man. I mean, you get top 18s from here, top 18s from there. Let them
Yeah.
play.
And that's
Let
what
them play.
I said. I said maybe take the conferences and top three, four teams from each conference. It's a lot less conferences in private school than there is in public school, but you
Right.
know, get those teams together and let them actually play it out. Like, don't just
Yeah.
say, "All right, you're going against this team, you're going against this team." Like, actually
Right.
figure out a way for them to play. I mentioned the California model They do the Open Championship once they're done with their
Mm-hmm.
state championship. And I don't know how exactly it works because I haven't really researched it. But I was like, that
Mm-hmm.
always seemed like a good idea to have
Mm-hmm.
that regional type vibe to play against each other. Because I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think this year, if you look at some of the publics, they have a lot of good talent, but I think the private schools have just as much talent and a lot of teams that play really well together. So
Mm-hmm.
that was my thinking behind that. Uh, so this year you improved your record this year with Country Day. Got to the quarterfinals. Tough loss to Wesleyan Christian. We actually was preparing for you guys, just to be realistic.
I believe
But
it.
but things happen. So going into next year, you return nearly everyone. Um,
Yeah.
what's the expectation?
One goal, man. Win the states. Well, win the conference. Win the states.
Yes,
Um,
sir. Love
I
it.
think we set that bar for us this year, getting us prepared mentally. Our girls are competitive, but sometimes you got to go through certain things. You got to be put in front of things to understand what it takes to be extra competitive. You got to
Mhm.
turn it up a notch, turn that gear on in the playoffs. So it was a good experience for us on Saturday. When we lose games to you guys or PD or Mallard Creek, those teams, we walk away saying, "Hey, those teams are where they are for a reason.
Mhm.
We got to get to that point. And the best way to get to that point is you got to put yourself in front of those kids and
Yep.
play against them. And you
Right.
you kind of learn from that. You walk away saying, all right, I see how such played this hard. This
Mhm.
person played me hard. This person didn't stop on the drive. They didn't stop on the loose ball. You got to learn that stuff. So
Yep.
that's the other phase. But like I said, the goal is win the states, man. Get that conference out the way so we can win that first.
Mhm.
Focus on the states afterwards. We
Yep.
do return. I'm graduating three, so we're returning 11.
Okay.
All five starters, eight of our rotation players.
And you had a good middle school team. You're I want to say
Yeah,
which one of them was a championship team.
seventh grade.
Seventh grade. That seventh grade team was really good.
Yeah,
Got good
yeah,
size, good guards. So they'll be ready kind of when that 26 class kind of
yeah,
dwindles out,
yeah,
that class will be coming in. So that's really good. Did you have
yeah.
any questions or anything before you wanted to say before we get off tonight?
Nah, man. Hey, nah, I ain't gonna get into that. I ain't gonna talk about Saturday. I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave that private.
Yeah.
But it's
Hey, I heard there was some tough calls, but
yeah, yeah.
it
I might
happens.
get in trouble, but hey,
Yeah. Hey.
all I say is little home cooking.
Oh yeah.
But it was a
Hey,
good game yesterday.
it happens everywhere. Don't worry. It happens everywhere. For sure.
Yeah, we looking forward to this year, man.
Yeah.
A couple of good girls. A lot of my girls coming back, coming strong. Um, I think they're ready. I think they're hungry on the outcome from Saturday.
Mhm.
You can see it in their face after the game, and you want to see people cry at
Yeah.
the end of a game. That tells you they care,
It
and
means
so
something.
it hurts.
Yep.
Oh, exactly. It means something, and you got to go through that. You got to go through it, And
Yeah.
we talk about the Kobe Bryant airball game. I brought
Mhm.
that up saying, hey, he shot three or four airballs, but he had to go through it. Now he knew what to do. So it's simple things like that. But I'm gonna continue to coach him hard. But the one thing I will say, man, is I'm glad that we got this going.
Sure.
Girls basketball, I'm trying to promote it as much as I can. I know you are,
Yes.
other people are. I'm a little bit selfish when it comes to girls basketball.
Mhm.
You guys probably see me posted out there where I talk about how the NBA ratings are going down in certain ways. Girls
Mhm.
might catch up with them. You got Caitlin Clark, she's doing her thing.
Yeah,
Juju's
she's
coming
good.
up next.
Hmm.
So hey man, girls basketball's knocking on that door. Even in
Yeah,
high
it
school. I
is.
mean,
For
a lot
sure.
of good girls out here, man.
Yeah, we just gotta get the fans, the students. I always say this: the students just need to invest more in the girls basketball. I understand the boys got the
Yeah.
highlights and all those things, but if you want to watch good basketball, I think girls basketball does a really good job. I know there's some
Well,
blowouts and all those things come into factor, but there's the same on the boys side, realistically.
right.
But I just wish more students would come to the games earlier to get to the girls game, show them that
Yeah.
same support. because
Yeah.
I know y'all probably dealing with it just like we dealing with it.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
you know, you
But
don't
like
get the same
20
crowd.
people.
Yep. And
Yeah, it'd be
then
like 20 people sitting there.
right at the end of the fourth quarter, all of a sudden the gym is filled. It's crazy.
Yep, they come see the boys. Yeah,
Yep.
that's tough. And remember, Dawn Staley talked about that. You know, when she
Hmm.
took over South Carolina, there was nobody there. Now she's selling out, probably if not equal to the boys, more. So it's
For
it's a
sure.
process. But like you're right, fans, man, they got to show up. I
Yep.
mean, girls basketball is exciting, and I seen that at Victory Christian when they had that
Mhm.
dynasty team for that 5 or 6 year
Yep.
span. They were girls. I mean, fans were showing up for the girls' game before the boys' game.
Yep.
You want that type of culture and atmosphere.
That's why I do love public school because they all play those sports
Yep.
together and it kind of
Yep.
makes the crowd. And if you don't get in there, you pretty much
Yep.
short. So, but
Yep.
I appreciate you, Coach, for logging on and talking with us today. Definitely, will see you sometime over the summer, spring,
Oh yeah.
uh, and we'll chat. We'll talk. We'll talk for sure.
All right. Appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.